The following production is part of the Play Some Video Games podcast network.
Hey everybody, before we get to this week's edition of PSVG Prime, we have to take a quick time out and thank our awesome Patreon producers over at patreon.com/PSVG. We want to thank all of our supporters, obviously, but especially Coach Hulk, Edwin Callow, Dev Tyus, Chris M, Kyle Heyman, The Bonesaw, Josh Bourboni, Barry Cathcart, Paul Calicote. I do have to address one thing. I forget what show it was. Somebody was asking if Josh Bourboni's last name really is Bourboni. It's me making a joke. That is his last name. It's not a joke, folks. Bonesaw is the joke, not his last name. As always, we thank you for your support. And keep in mind, if you're not a supporter, why the heck not? For just $1 a month, you get entered into our monthly giveaways and our ridiculous PSVG DLC show that you can listen to and subscribe to, because those are always just insane, off the cuff, getting to know us a little bit more as people versus podcasters talking games or board games or whatever it is we talk about each week. But this month, giveaway is sponsored by PSVG Prime. So this month, we are giving away a slick black PSVG polo shirt. So you can rep PSVG even when you're at work, because on casual Fridays, you could totally wear that shirt. I know I do. But yes, if you haven't subscribed, head over to patreon.com/PSVG to sign up. Now you have till the end of April before you get into that drawing. And as Lucas says, if you could sell a PSVG polo shirt, you can sell anything. And you could sell anything while wearing a PSVG polo shirt, so it all works out. But anyway, now on to this week's episode of PSVG Prime. Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of PSVG Prime, the flagship show of the Play Some Video Games podcast network. It is I, your host. With me, as always, is my cohort in crime, the dastardly, the delicious, the dudesomest, Lucas Rose.
You forgot delectable.
Well, I didn't want to say delicious and delectable because it's like the same thing. I thought about it. I did actually think about that.
As long as I got you thinking, that's all that really matters.
You did.
Hello.
And hello. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right.
Doing all right? Mouth feeling okay? Your jaw feeling better now?
Without any context, that's going to sound really weird, but yes.
Yes. They should be listening to all the shows and know. They should all know what's going on.
Yes, that is true. It all weaves the story, and it's all told only if you download all of the content. And
okay. Hold on, we lost you there for a long time. I don't know. Everything just froze, but I was still moving. You guys weren't. I don't know what happened.
This is what we call host problems. Not you're the host, but the hosting computer.
I guess. I don't know. That was really weird. So yeah, you said something about weaving. It's like the Marvel Cinematic Universe of podcasts, right?
Yeah, I said you have to download all the DLC and you'll get the whole story.
Yes. And not even just DLC, other shows from not on the PSVG network. You just
It's confusing because now there's a show called DLC, so I'm not just all of it. Your thing was better. It's okay. Marvel Cinematic Universe. Let's just go with that.
Okay, let's go with that. And with us this week is the ever controversial last name, apparently. Which you think Kyle's is really the most controversial last name in the whole group, but it's
100%.
Yes, it's Josh Bourboni from Board with Video Games. How are we doing, buddy?
Good. That's been my last name my whole life. Yeah, I mean, Kyle's last name is Hyman, so I mean, let's just ask.
We'll save that for DLC. Yeah, we'll save that for DLC. Yeah, I know, right? Everyone.
Yeah. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Good. Glad to have you here. So obviously we'll get to some video game news and cover everything that happened this past week that the other shows did not cover. But before we do, we want to talk a little bit about what we've been playing. I'll go first because I only have one game that's not on your list, and then we'll segue into the other one, which is on everyone's list. First one, Yoshi's Crafted World. So did either of you guys play the demo?
Yes.
Before?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you guys like it or?
Yes, very much so.
I didn't like it the first time I played it, but then I did the second time, weirdly. So I don't know what
never normally try a demo a second time, but okay.
My son wanted to play it. It was really weird. He was like, "Dad, let's play Yoshi game." And I was like, first of all, how do you know who Yoshi is? And second of all, but it's from Mario Odyssey. He got to that part in the kingdom where you get Yoshi and get to play as him. So
Spoilers.
he was like, okay, well,
Just kidding.
wow, jeez, it's a Mario game. You know what else? I'll spoil the ending. Mario wins. Boom. What do you think about that? Controversial.
I want to plug my ears, but there's headphones in them.
I hate when that happens. But yeah, City Ways.
Okay. Yeah.
I did.
So I'm playing it. I was a big fan of Yoshi's Woolly World back on the Wii U, so much that I even bought it on the 3DS when they kind of ported it over and added some, minor additional features on there. So this one was like a no-brainer. This is a great game for both me and my wife to play through. I will be sharing probably more in-depth thoughts. I'll save it for Nintendo Shack this week. I will be on there probably mostly to talk about this game, and me and Donnie will probably fight about it, I'm sure. And oddly enough, Caroline and I will probably be on the same page. So I'll leave it at that. So tune in to Nintendo Shack this week for full thoughts there. Second game, I mentioned last week I'd started up. I'm a lot further now. Borderlands 2. I just rescued, I forget the guy's name now. The soldier guy from all the pyro guys. Yes, Roland. Thank you.
Roland of Midworld.
Yes, I just saved him, and I've done like a couple side quests after that for the cult that follows the Firebird or whatever they kept calling her.
The Firehawk.
Firehawk, yes.
She was a car.
Yeah,
the Firebird.
Firebird. Black with the gold Firebird on top. Yeah, nice. I'm still struggling my way through it. I think I'm getting a little bit better, but it's a hard game to play solo.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's just a lot going on. You get a lot of different guns, and even though the numbers might be good on the guns, they may still not be good guns. And the whole Diablo-esque pick up loot where it's like, the green, blue, purple, gold type of scenario doesn't necessarily mean anything in this game at all. Like you may say like, oh, this green gun should be better than these other guns. No, they're not always. So it's really kind of weird. I'm playing as a Gunzerker. Is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
Out there? Okay.
Yep. Gunzerker.
Yeah, so I'm new to Borderlands 2. I played it briefly before on the Handsome Jack collection, but now I'm actually digging into it a lot further than I ever was before. So I'm having a lot of fun, but I'm totally a noob to the whole scenario. But yeah, it's rough.
I think playing alone is kind of rough in this game because there's so many open spaces where nothing really is happening. And when you don't have anybody else to play with, you're just kind of like, all right, I'm just going to walk for 15 minutes to the next objective. And then, of course, the cars are made to have another person in them. So it's really built around at least two people, I feel like, anyway. So,
yep. And I'm forever alone.
Forever alone.
But yeah, I'm having fun with that. So, let's have Josh go.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, I jumped back into Far Cry New Dawn. I shouldn't say jump back then. I just started playing it from like the 20 minutes I played when I got it. I still love the game. I really do. But I forget how much ammo you run out of. I'm forever running out of every gun I have.
Really?
And I have 4 guns now. And I keep running out of ammo.
Oh, see, that didn't happen to me. That's weird.
Yeah, and I didn't remember if that happened in Far Cry 5 to me or not. And my support, they die instantly.
Oh, his support is terrible.
Awful. I'm still loving it. It looks great. It's moving along fast, so I can tell it's a short game. I hit it says intermission. It plays a character story and goes into chapter 2, but I didn't do too much before that happened. But I haven't been when I played Far Cry 5, I played it for 80 hours. I did every single side mission. This one, at this point, I'm just kind of trying to experience it and get through it. If that makes sense. I've also been playing Borderlands 2 on the PlayStation 4 with Kyle and on the PC with Lucas and Callow.
How many games do you play on more than one platform, PC and? Because there's a few of them. It's not just Borderlands.
Well, I would hazard to say I played the Division 2 on PC. I have it on the PC.
You looked at a slideshow.
Today I played the Division 2 on PC on low settings and windowed mode on lower resolution, and I ran into a yellow guy who ended up teleporting through
racist.
A wall.
You can't say that.
A yellow shaded bad guy who ended up teleporting through a wall and dying because my clipping was so bad in the game that the game just killed itself.
The game killed itself. Wow.
I don't want to live.
So, yeah, it's been rough, but I've been talking to Lucas about, he's helping me figure out what I need to do to upgrade, this brand new PC I got 3 months ago.
It's true. Hey, I saw those stats. I don't know how you got this thing, but it was a little bit weird. There's something not right under the hood of that thing. So
it's like mine. Mine when I bought it, it was like, hey, it's a great gaming PC, and then I go to upgrade stuff. It's like, oh, hey, you can't upgrade anything. Yeah. So have fun with that. Like, it's just like, what the heck,
Sorry for my coughing, son. Yeah, when I bought it, I didn't buy it for gaming, and then all of a sudden, Lucas and I started gaming a lot on the PC, so it's become something that I want to fix now. Speaking of that, Lucas and I just played earlier Risk of Rain 2. If it sounds familiar to you, it's because you watched the Borderlands PAX East presentation. It's the game they showed during the presentation. It was on Steam as under the buy one, get one free deal up until the 30th of March. So I waited to the 30th. It was something I was interested in. And then I just pulled the trigger, and I don't know how to describe it. It is a type of third-person shooter.
It's almost like an arena shooter, sort of.
Arena roguelike shooter.
Wave shooter, yeah.
With enemies
procedurally generated.
Yeah, the enemies continue to spawn. But at the longer you play, the difficulty consistently raises. So it starts on easy and it keeps getting higher and higher. So it also punishes you for staying in one spot for too long.
Yeah.
But also if you try to get to the exit too quick, it punishes you because you're not leveled up high enough to kill the boss. Every time you get to a teleporter, you activate it and then it summons a boss. They're very unique looking. They're very cool. All the creatures and stuff in the game are very cool. If you have PC, I would say check it out. Even maybe check out the first one, which I haven't played. But it's $20 and it's on early access. So it's a game that will continue to evolve.
All the characters look like Mysterio from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Apparently there are other characters you can unlock, but we don't know how to do that yet.
Yes, that's true. One thing I found annoying, this was my thing I said I should save for the show. I don't feel like it does a good job of telling you things that happen. Yes. For instance, you'll level up and it'll play a noise, but other than that, it's easy to get lost, to lose all that information you get so focused on shooting everything because there's almost no downtime. Not really anyway.
Yeah, no downtime, no map.
Yeah, no map. It's hard to tell. I picked up an item, and sometimes it's a little bit hard to tell what exactly it does. It'll have a written description, but I'm the kind of person who wants to see a number go up when I equip something or when I pick something up. So if there's a chance to critical, I want to know what that chance is. Like, what's the percentage?
Yeah.
And so far I haven't figured out how to find that. It may be there. I mean, we just jumped in and started playing, or at least I did. So maybe in there somewhere, but those would be my two criticisms at this point, and hopefully they'll figure out. Well, they probably won't do anything I say, but who knows? We'll see. What does this guy know?
I've been playing the Division 2 with Kyle on the Xbox. I really love that game still. We've been typically playing for like a few hours on Saturday nights. I end up regretting it around like 2, 3 a.m. But it's been fun. And I'm just trying to catch up. He's a few levels ahead of me. It scales you up, which can be frustrating because you're not dropping gear at the level you're scaled up to. But I'm finally getting some purple gear, which is great. But I played with Kyle last night, and he got like 3 legendary gears or whatever they're called, superior. And I'm getting greens out of the same chests he's getting superior guns out of. So I'm like, yeah, I need to level up like quick. And then lastly, we got a board game to the table last night. My wife and I played a game called Everdell, which is a worker placement game. It's essentially, if you are a fan of cutesy woodland creatures,
who isn't?
A board game. It's definitely for you. If you check out Board with Video Games Instagram, you can see pictures from when we played. It's Border the VG, not Border the Video Games. But essentially what you're doing is, it comes with this like, you build a tree in the box, so it almost looks like a pop-up book when you play. And you have objectives that are on the tree, and you pick a color, which is represented by different animals, which is just there for looks. It doesn't add any aspect to the game. But what you're doing is you're playing cards from either your hand or from the table. There's 8 cards available to choose in the middle of the table. I forget what the name of it. It's like the Woodlands or something. When you draft them out, you're building a city, your own town of 15 cards, and they recommend you do 3 rows of 5 long. And as you're playing, you're paying the cost to put these characters, or you're either putting down critters or constructions, which are like inns, or a dungeon I had was one of them. And some of them have special abilities, and you're activating those abilities on certain points, or someone can move to one of your parts of your village, and either you gain a positive benefit or they do. And you play for most victory points, but essentially you're town building with moving your people around and collecting wood, stone, ember, or berries to feed the animals to recruit them, and the other things to build buildings or recruit other critters to your town. It seemed like it was going to be slow when we first started. Like it goes through seasons. You start in winter, then you go into spring, summer, and autumn is the last season. As you progress, you get more workers into your town. So the more you do that, the more options you have the next few turns. But like our first season, we both looked at each other and we were like, oh, it's not a lot going on right now. I don't know how we're going to fill 15 spots in our town. And by autumn, we had too many cards, and we only had like 1 spot left in our town. So then you have the tough choice of like, what do I put down to maximize like my town's output? And you have upkeep, where you gain things at the end of each season, which gets you victory points. It's an incredible game, and we'll definitely be playing it again next weekend. But yeah, easy to learn, complex to master. High recommendation, but it's an expensive game.
Yeah, I looked at that. I saw, because Kyle played it, right?
Yeah, Kyle played it. Ashley, that was like she got 2 big purchases at PAX Unplugged.
Yeah.
Not that she got them, but she made 2 big purchases. She could have made more.
You allowed her to.
But yeah, we got the deluxe collector's edition that was like a Kickstarter only at the time. And it was like $90 for the full game.
Yeah, I know. I saw Kyle playing it before, talking about it, and then I've seen pictures of it before too. And I looked at it, I was like, "Oh, this seems really cool." I bet my wife would like to play it. I look at the price, I'm like, "Nope, moving on."
Yeah, if you can snag it on sale, like the regular edition or something, it's awesome. It's probably going to be one of our favorite games, but I need to play more games and at more players to see if it like scales well as well, because that's important. But yeah, that's all of my game playing that I have written down.
Sir Lucas.
Yeah. I also have been playing The Division 2. Most recently, I've been playing a game called Troubleshoot Why This Game Won't Run on Your PC.
Every PC game.
Yeah, seems like it. So yeah, this one in particular has been pretty weird. And it had me worried that my video card today actually was had me worried that it was on its way out or something. But it turns out it just didn't like DirectX 12, which is, I don't know, like a graphics handler, I guess. I wouldn't call it an engine, but it's basically the way that games are structured to run on a computer. And so I had enabled it just to test and forgot about it. And apparently that was causing most of the issues. And then, of course, I turned down some graphics settings, and it seems to be running okay now, which is good because it would freeze basically. And sometimes it would even just completely crash the game. So very annoying and hard to play, as Josh can understand. So yeah, once I got that under control, it's a good game. I'm enjoying it. I mean, I'm level 17 now or something like that, which I can't remember the last time I played a multiplayer game like this and played solo and got this high level. I know it's not even that high really, but I think of Division or Destiny 2, and I played that for a little while, but I couldn't quite get into it solo, and definitely didn't get as far in that as I am here. So I guess that speaks something about the game. I'm not sure what, but
once I get my graphics card, we're gonna play Destiny 2 together.
Destiny 2, I'm fine with that. I want to play it. It's just one, I think it's one that doesn't quite lend itself to solo play as much as the Division 2. The Division feels almost like a single player game with its open world. There's things to collect, all sorts of, I don't know, just Ubisoft feeling things in a multiplayer game. So it doesn't really feel like you have to play multiplayer. Whereas I kind of feel like I'm missing out a little bit in Destiny 2, not playing. So I'll totally take you up on that. That's for sure.
It'll be months till I get my graphics card.
Okay. Well,
yeah, right.
Hey, I'm already juggling enough games as it is to play. So
summer gaming.
Exactly. So we'll put that one on the back burner along with everything else. Also playing Borderlands 2. Don't have much to add except for the 4K pack. Jason put it best when he played with us and said, it looks like now how I probably remember it looking.
Right.
And then we all realized the last time we played it really was on the Xbox 360. So you can only imagine what it probably looked like back then. But yeah, it's crisp. It's clean. It's Borderlands. What can you say? I will say, you were talking about all the gun drops and everything. And I'm playing Krieg, I think his name is, the psycho. Basically the bad guy. It's very confusing because you look like one of the bad guys. So when you're playing with somebody else, they're just like, oh, you're not the enemy. So it takes a little while to get used to. But for goodness sake, sometimes I just want a gun that shoots regular bullets. I kept picking up the guns that shoot like rockets or those weird, really slow, like you'll shoot and then all the projectiles come out a half second later. So I'm going for like a shotgun build, and it's already slow enough as it is. So I just want a regular gun. And maybe that's, the Division 2 coming out in me, where I just, it's all based in realism. Then you go to Borderlands and it's like the complete opposite off the wall stuff. So, and then the other game that I actually got into even more is Mutant Year Zero. And I realized when I typed this in earlier today, I had that wasn't a joke. I didn't type Mutant League Zero as a joke. I seriously cannot remember the name of this game. I think I might have to go to the hospital, but I'm losing it, guys. So this game, I really am enjoying it. So I won't go into that much more other than it plays a little bit differently than an XCOM game. I think I talked a little bit about how there's a stealth mechanic. You can kind of pick off enemies, the ones that go away from the rest of the group. And I really like that mechanic. It kind of, for instance, there was one section, one hub world where I was able to pick off every single person individually. I don't know if they meant for that to happen, but I chained it all together so that I was actually able to do that and not alert anybody. So basically what that means is within the first turn that you start combat, you're able to, if you can kill that enemy, then it won't alert the rest of the group. So you can, basically get in 3 turns and then, or 3 character turns, shoot 3 times. If you kill them, that ends combat. Mm-hmm. And the game is sort of based around that. They want you to sneak around some higher level encounters. They want you to come back and fight those guys again. They want you to pick off people to whittle away their numbers before you get into a much larger battle. And what I was hitting a wall in difficulty where I felt like I couldn't proceed because the game just suddenly got so hard. I didn't know how I was supposed to win. And then I realized something, and it was my own mistake. I was stupid. I had picked up a new gun that I thought was just a regular pistol. Turns out I already knew there were silenced weapons, and it tells you that this weapon is silenced. It won't make a noise. It won't alert anybody. I don't know why I missed it, but on this gun, I had it equipped on a character that already had a silenced weapon because she didn't have another main weapon. She basically had 2 pistols. And that's all I had at the time. So she had 2 silenced weapons. And then my other character had no silenced weapons. So basically I only was giving myself 2 shots instead of 3 on that initial turn. And then once I realized that, long story short, I opened up the door. That's why I wasn't doing enough damage to kill these enemies. And then finally I could proceed and figured out what I was doing wrong. Then the other part that kind of scratched that strategy itch in my brain was that there are some abilities that you can do that aren't labeled as silenced, but they are silenced as long as you think about it. For instance, there's like a bull rush where you can break down cover. You hit somebody with like a charging shoulder, they go flying, and it's basically a melee attack. Well, you know, that's not a gunshot. So yeah, it is silenced as long as there's no one around to hear it. So you can use that to stun a character for 2 turns and then continue on and basically get a couple more rounds of silenced, not alerting anybody, battle out of it. So once that all happened, everything kind of started clicking again, and I was able to make progress, and I was able to get much further in the game, and I'm really enjoying it. I'll probably end up beating it. So, I mean, this might be the last time I talk about it, except for maybe to give it an update that I have beaten it, but I'm very surprised by it. It came out of left field. I feel like it's pretty good. There might be some things down the road that I struggle with or something, but so far, you know, it's all good. I'm really enjoying it. It's so weird because I don't feel like I've heard anyone talk about it, but I do know it's coming to the Switch. So have you talked about this game?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass, right? It's
oh, that's right. Yeah. Well,
it's okay.
That's the thing, though. Most people, I feel like they see something on Game Pass they've never heard of, and they don't want to give the chance. Yeah, you know, give it the time of day because they're just like, I don't know. And I think Humble Bundle kind of got me out of that mindset because this month's Humble Bundle was kind of just a bunch of stuff I'd never heard of. Really, I mean, Mutant Year Zero, Northgard, and Minute, and all this other stuff, and normally I wouldn't give it the time of day because I'd be too busy looking for, you know, some AAA title. But that's kind of what I like about it is along with something like Game Pass, you have that ability to try out new games. And just because they're not full price doesn't mean they're not worth giving a shot. So
I saw it like months and months ago, like at E3, they were showing like videos of it on like YouTube, and it wasn't out yet. It just caught my interest like right away. I didn't think I was going to be able to play it because it was PC only at the time. So when I saw it come to Game Pass, I get super excited. So I tried it like immediately, and then luckily now I have it on PC the way I feel like it's meant to be played.
Right.
I can't imagine how this is going to run on the Switch because it's one of those games where I think it's not optimized the best. There's a lot of motion blur and some effects that I just can't see translating over to the Switch.
I mean, the Switch is basically a PC, isn't it?
I mean, yeah. It's the graphical powerhouse.
Yeah. Of my PC,
yeah. Oh boy. All right. We done with what we've been playing?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, let's move on. Let's discuss, gentlemen, the news of the week.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite news outlet on the Citadel.
Lucas, sir, why don't you go first? Because you have a couple categories to cover here today. So why don't we start with some PC news?
Okay, sure. Yeah, I got 2 things that kind of go hand in hand, or mouse and mouse maybe. So Borderlands 3, everyone's talking about how it's going to be an exclusive to the Epic Store on PC. How surprised were you by this? I mean, Epic's scooping up them exclusives, so
I wasn't. I actually anticipated the second they announced it that I was like, oh, watch this be an Epic Store exclusive because it just seems like one that they grabbed. Because honestly, if Fortnite was a third-person shooter game, open world, it's yes, Borderlands is more vulgar, but it's pretty darn close in my mind. Like, so.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Okay, so are you outraged though? That's the real question.
It's only 6 months. People, relax.
Well, I'm not outraged by any of these. Like, they keep doing these whether it's exclusive to Steam or Epic or or whatever, Twitch, like whatever the difference, like it's the same thing, guys. Like if you're playing on PC, I don't know of any PC gamer that's like, I will only have one installer at this point. There's so many between EA and, you know, Steam, the humble one, you know, Lucas's favorite galaxy of games, and you know, all these different launchers. It's like it's part of the job at this point. Like
you kind of don't have a choice,
right?
I mean, you really have to draw a line in the sand and say, I'm not going to play these. You couldn't play a Ubisoft game without having their launcher.
Ubisoft launcher is the worst.
Yeah. But it's not like it's a store exclusive though, where it's like, hey, I can only buy this game like by physically going to Target. It's like, no, you're sitting in your computer chair anyway. You're just clicking a different link to buy the game. Like, does it matter?
Yes, it does.
For PC, I don't think it matters, but also with PC, you have, and I hesitantly say this, but perhaps the most vocal audience in gaming online.
We're not vocal. What are you talking about?
Next to Nintendo fans.
Well,
let's be honest here.
I mean it in the gamer gateway. Yeah. Like they're all crude, awful. Don't attack me, people, human beings. Like they're not all, but like that's the loudest audience for PC gaming. Like just look what they did. So they went and they review bombed a 10-year-old game on Steam. Like,
yeah, that was my
because they're
story.
so. Oh, was it? Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Go ahead. Perfect segue, as they say.
Yeah,
but like, I don't get like, I don't, and then this shows how this is bad for Steam, because Steam's like, we worked on this algorithm that will stop review bombing, and then it did not work.
Did not work.
Yeah, they had to actually go out of their way, I think, to tag it as they tagged it specifically as unrelated or something, or there it is, off-topic review activity. They actually I think they had to physically go in and change it because of review bombing from April 3rd to April 6th, it looks like. And I just don't understand that. If you I can't understand being upset, but if you really are upset about that, why would you go and destroy something you love? Like, that's the stupidest thing you could ever do.
Especially when, as like, let's say you're a business person looking at this thing and say, okay, we're going to go with Epic Store's exclusive. Now it's time to break that exclusivity. Let's take a look at Steam. Oh, they hate this game. Why should I bother selling it on this platform? That it just makes no sense.
Yeah, well, Steam's not known for their ability to really innovate this whole, that too, but this whole storefront anyway. So as we've talked before, I think this will just end up being better in the long run, that they'll have something to kind of challenge them and force change. But as we said, overall, it really doesn't matter. And honestly, the Epic Store is better for the people selling the games because they get a higher cut. So I can't really blame them anyways. But maybe everyone, the only thing I can see about being upset about this, and I don't even know if it'll happen in the first 6 months, is Steam sales. Like, that's a very popular, everyone knows about Steam sales. You'll be able to get this game for $5 after the 6-month exclusivity deal, probably. But other than that, so I just don't get it, guys. And that's coming from a PC person myself. So kind of bums me out.
I agree.
The last thing, now this is just a little bit of hearsay. And cool. I guess I shouldn't be surprised, because they do make a good point in this article. Ocopath Traveler may be coming to PC. So just take this with a grain of salt. But it makes sense when you think about it, because Square Enix has already, ported over a lot of games. And apparently they use Bandai Namco to do that. Mm-hmm. So if you think about it, it does make sense. And I would have to imagine a 2D sprite-based game that runs on Unreal wouldn't be that hard to port over at all.
Right.
So, and it did a lot better than they were expecting it to, apparently, because that was talked about for a little while. So it makes sense. Now, is this going to be an Epic Store exclusive? That's the real question, because if it is, I hate this game.
This one, I will say no, will not be an Epic Store exclusive. Just, it doesn't fit the vibe, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't make sense, but anything really could be the exclusive. But no, this is cool. If this happens, this makes it available to a bigger audience that didn't get a chance to play it on Switch, which is fine because it is a game definitely worth playing. I myself need to go back and play more of it myself. So I think this is exciting news. And like you said, easy port, easy to play on PC, I would imagine. And it's a beautiful looking game. So the more eyes that could see it, the better in my mind. It's not a Mario game that's being ported to other consoles, folks. This is just a Nintendo exclusive that can be played by other people. It's okay.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about PC is you can port a console exclusive over to PC, and it's kind of cheating, but it doesn't really hurt them too much because they're more worried about the console war, not the PC, so yeah, I think and they don't really have many options like this on the PC. I think like a traditional Japanese style RPG, except for whatever gets crapped out of RPG Maker or whatever. We've got plenty of those, but not a honest to goodness. And
nobody wants to play those Xseed games, so we don't want to go that route.
No. So there you go. There's some PC stuff for you.
Cool. All right. I'll jump in next then. I have some, instead of Sony and Xbox exclusive, that kind of merge them together. But we do have one specific story to Xbox to cover afterwards. But first thing, Ubisoft is infamous for, sometimes leaving hints towards their next game that's coming out. But in this case, it's a little bit different because typically we kind of get Assassin's Creed spoiled for us every single time by some sort of GameStop leak where they have a poster, like for some reason 6 months before it's announced or some garbage like that. We see stuff all the time. Well, Division 2 is out, as you guys both have been playing it. And, there's a poster in the Potomac Event Center in Washington, D.C., where it has a Viking labeled Valhalla at the JFK Center. And it's a Viking standing, just preparing for war with this spear, whatever the case is. But in his hand is the Apple of Eden, which is a well-known relic from Assassin's Creed, basically confirming Half-Life 3. Or that the next Assassin's Creed is going to take place in the Viking realm. So, and Ubisoft is kind of not commenting on it at all, but I mean,
they're not saying no.
Exactly. And also it kind of ties to it loosely. Watch Dogs 2 had a patch recently, which changed the ending of the game. What? That basically confirmed and hinted that the next game will take place in London. So Ubisoft kind of seems to be like sliding these little hints and things coming in there. And basically they haven't confirmed that Watch Dogs 3 will be in London, but they kind of have. So there's reports leaking out that saying like, yeah, we're working on it. It's going to be in London. So yeah, Ubisoft just kind of dropping hints in their games about what's coming up next, which is kind of cool. So
I think that's really cool, actually. And also, I do want to say, not a huge Assassin's Creed fan. I have played them. There's just something about the gameplay that gets kind of stale after a while. I did like the piratey one, and I do like Vikings, so I am kind of excited for this one, actually.
Yeah, I mean the Viking warships, like that's gonna be pretty badass.
Heck,
that's gonna be fun. So God of War, Assassin's Creed, coming your way, folks. But as they said, there will be no Assassin's Creed this year. So it's supposed to be 2020 is the next Assassin's Creed, they've said, basically. So unless that changes, we still got some time to wait, which is probably for the best because it gets some of these Norse games we've had recently kind of off our mind. So this will seem kind of like a fresh trend again, I guess, when it comes back. So,
that's true.
Take their time. They need to take their time with Assassin's Creed. We don't need one every year.
Exactly. I'm with you. I like the ones when they've taken their time much, much better. So ought to be cool to see. Other than that, we do have the Game Pass Ultimate being teased through Microsoft Perks, where they're looking at doing $14.99 a month, which basically will bundle Xbox Live Gold and Xbox Game Pass into one monthly fee, which kind of sets up these rumors we've been hearing for the past couple months, actually, at this point, about the all digital Xbox One that's supposedly going to be coming, where it does not have a disc drive and basically used for digital games and digital streaming, which makes tons and tons of sense here. But yeah, by bundling the subscription makes perfect sense. I'm a believer, if you will, of the Game Pass and how much it's worth. And unless Sony does something different next gen, I think I'm getting Xbox first, and I probably just won't buy any games. I think I may just go Game Pass because there's more than enough content there all the time to play. So take it with a grain of salt. It's not confirmed yet, but it looks like this is, the writing on the wall is there, I think, where this is coming, and we should see more about that.
Nice. I'm excited. It's a great price point. It's a smart model, and as long as it's an option and not a requirement, I think they're doing the right thing.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it'll be a requirement, at least not yet. I don't see him doing it. Maybe eventually, but I think right now this is really good to see what's coming on. So because it's me and because it's in the news, we have to talk some Fortnite news. Number one, Fortnite is infamous for copying other games and debatably doing it better than others. And looks like they're going to attempt, at least again, and steal from Apex Legends. Fortnite is adding reboot vans, which is basically the Apex Legend respawn beacons, but they're in a van because it's Fortnite. That's how they do things. Looking to add in duos and in squad combat where your dead squad mates will drop reboot cards that any surviving team member can pick up, get to one of these reboot vans, and be booted back into the Fortnite match to drop back in. And come back. And the vans will have recharge points where once they're being used, they can't be used for a little bit. So there'll also be like a mad dash of maybe multiple teams trying to get to a van. But yeah, it looks like they're going to be bringing in some rezzing to Fortnite, which will change the dynamic, I think, a little bit. And it might be more fun now for squads in Fortnite, I think, to play.
As much as I'd love to hate on them, it does. I mean, you do what you need to do to be successful. And if that means you have to borrow some things from Apex that are working, I mean, why wouldn't you want to make your game better for your player base? Like, I get it. And that's what happens with everything. A successful game comes out, and then every other game that's similar to that tries to copy it to, but put their own spin on it. So, it is what it is.
Lucas, you're going to say something?
Oh, no. I mean, I agree. It's just they have so much momentum at this point. It almost feels like they could do no wrong.
No, they could do it. But the thing that they do that nobody else does, regardless of whether or not you like Fortnite, is, and I've played, I think, pretty much every Battle Royale game there has been now at this point. This is the only one that truly changes all the time. And not just patches. Like, they're adding new modes. They're adding new vehicles that will come in and go away. Like, stuff doesn't always stay either. So they might do this for a limited time, take it back out. Like, you don't know. But they're always giving something different to try.
It kind of reminds me of GTA 5, where they're always making the online portion and just adding things, taking stuff away, bringing it back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like it's a model that hasn't been done. It's just in such a new genre of game, it seems weird, I guess, but it isn't really if you think about it. So
yeah, for games to be free that you can play, you can play it today, Lucas, and then wait 4 months and pick it up and play it again. And it's totally different. Like, things just change that much where it's like, it's crazy.
But what if I hate change?
Then you're like the rest of the internet, and it's okay.
Oh, okay, good. Woo.
And you know who else hates change and hates Fortnite? Prince Harry.
Hey, no kidding.
He is calling. So he's not even a dad yet, but he's pulling a dad move. And he's calling for the banning of Fortnite. Fortnite should not exist, in his words. So it's not even banned. It's like, it should just be gone. It's created to addict, an addiction to keep you in front of a computer for as long as possible. It's so irresponsible. He's, calling out Epic Games, like, right front and center, saying they're basically just irresponsible. People shouldn't be sitting in front of the TV, all this time. The game has sold, 250 million registered players for Fortnite, and it started in 2017.
Addicts, I think you mean.
Yes, that's what I mean. Sorry. 10.8 million people playing it at any given time. And other games, Apex Legends, stuff like that. They have all this stuff going on. Fortnite is worth $12 billion as a franchise right now.
Not anymore. Meghan Markle is taking it down.
Yeah. But yeah, he's just calling for it to be just straight up banned and not exist, which is kind of insane. But
I didn't realize he was 60 years old. Gosh, that's crazy. I don't understand these games, but I hate them.
He then yelled for all reporters to get off his lawn.
It's true.
It's true.
His Scotland Yard.
Yes. Josh, since you're here, I heard a little rumor you brought some board game news.
I did. I brought some board game news that bleeds into video games. So don't worry, everybody.
Don't bleed on your board games, everybody. That's a mess.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. So Tomb Raider Legends is coming to the board games. The board games. That doesn't sound right. It's coming to the table in the form of a board game. It's actually being published by Square Enix, which is, I think, maybe their second published board game, which I can probably tell you shortly. if that's true or not. So Tomb Raider Legends challenges players to navigate dangerous and exotic locales to acquire the artifact. It's over a dozen different areas you can explore. It's a competitive game. There's 3 to 4 players, and there's 4 different Laras. I don't know if their abilities change, but they're all from different generations of Lara Croft. But technically, you're all playing Lara Croft, which is an interesting choice.
Yeah.
That is kind of weird.
Yes to your question, Lucas, in the chat. It is different every Lara. You're trying to avoid constant threat of wounds, delays, and misdirection, but it's all caused by other players and creatures. So you're actually hindering your opponents as you're playing. It's expected to come out Q2, Q3 of this year. There's no price point yet, but they're saying it's only like a 40-minute game. So
yeah,
it's pretty accessible as far as like gameplay time. But as far as other board games, they've done the Final Fantasy trading card game. They've done a Dragon Quest dungeon game and a Chocobo's Crystal Hunt board game. So they have done a few games, and they are not very well received.
I was gonna say they don't seem like, even just looking like, so that photo attaches article, like the player cards look fine, the tokens, but the board itself looks just uninviting, unimpressive. Like it's just kind of like, okay, we playing this? You know.
Here's the thing: they just took a bunch of asset art, from the games, and then put them on the board. Yeah, and I think that's the biggest problem, because it feels disingenuous when they just steal the box art from each Laura. Just, get an artist to actually make another rendition of those iconic people, and then like make it cohesive. I don't know. There's too many textures, too many like sort of.
It doesn't blend.
Yeah. Entry to Photoshop type feel to it.
It's just some of those cards are silhouette pictures, not even pictures of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the brightly colored cards. It's like, what are you going for here?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And I mean, and Josh can attest to this, in a day and age where you have so many board games coming out every single week, so many Kickstarters and stuff. It's like table appeal is a big deal. Like you have to look at something and go, wow, this looks cool. It could be a terrible game, but it'll get people to at least maybe be like, oh, this looks really cool. This game does not look cool at all. Like it just doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. That's the problem with IPs, right? So if you want to see the flip side, go look at like Renegade Games. They did Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid on Kickstarter, and it was more expensive, but the quality of the game you're getting is astronomically higher than what this Tomb Raider game would be. So that being said, if this is like a Target $20, $30 game, it's probably not bad for the price.
Right.
And we don't know how the game plays. The physical aspects of the game have, leave some wanting for quality, but if it's a budget game and there's good mechanisms in it, like if you're really into the game where you're trying to like screw out over your friends to win, like kind of like Munchkin, it could be good. But if it comes out as a $60 game because it's Lara Croft and Tomb Raider, then that's where we'll have to see where the problems are. And like you can look at, there's other games that really bug me that use so Legendary is one of my favorite games. Legendary Marvel. The first Legendary set, when it came out, all the Wolverine cards, they had the same exact art, even though they all had different abilities. Like 3 expansions later, every hero had different art for every card. So they kind of learned from that. So they changed the art because they have so much content to draw from the comics. They can just put in a different comic cover. But then they did the MCU Legendary set, and then all they did was use screen grabs from the movies.
Ugh.
So that doesn't mix well with art and cards. And then 2, it's lazy, right? So like you look at the Tomb Raider thing. However, Legendary, the gameplay is so much better than the sum of its parts, if that makes sense. So while it stinks that they decided to go the cheaper probably way, to make the art, the gameplay is still phenomenal. So I think the difference in board games compared to video games is it's a little easier to overlook the art in a board game because of how important the graphics and art is in a video game to how you play it.
I went to the link to see the Board Game Geek like in there, and then there's somebody who posted, is this 1998? I was very excited when I heard about this, but seeing the photo of it now, it doesn't look great. It looks like a board game from the 90s. My question is, if it's being released by Square Enix, how long until it comes full circle and they digitize the board game and release it on PC on Steam?
I was actually saying it's update. This is going to be an Epic Store exclusive, so it's just already announced. Sorry,
gosh darn it!
Both the physical and the digital versions you have to buy through Epic Store.
I have to hate it just on that alone now. So,
well, the other weird thing too is so the character cards for the different Lars throughout the ages, they have color coordinated behind them, but then the figurines are literally the same exact Lar.
Yeah, just different colors.
Just different colors. So I'm like, well, that's just confused too. They didn't even try that. They didn't even try with that one either. So.
No, you're right. I think the production value is very low.
Yeah,
for sure.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see. Lucas, you got some more Nintendo news for us?
I do. So this kind of had me a little excited because I am a resident VR aficionado.
You are.
And now I'm poor because of that. I have no money. Zelda and Mario are confirmed for Nintendo Switch VR. And everyone collectively said, well, how is that going to work? So from what I can tell, promotional pictures have people holding on to the Joy-Cons and then just holding it up like a viewfinder, basically. Now, you laugh, but that's the ultimate way to experience content. No, that's going to get old really fast. So I suspect there will be some sort of third-party head strap device of some sort, a strap-on, if you will. And so then we can enjoy our VR. Well, and I hate that they say VR because it's really just 3D, right? Mm-hmm. It's not VR.
Right.
We've talked about that. So even so, though, I wouldn't mind some Mario Odyssey, some Zelda Breath of the Wild in 3D.
You have a son, just have him hold it up to your head for you.
Yeah.
Boy.
Grab daddy a beer and come be a table for daddy.
Well, I have it figured out, I guess. But for everybody else, I don't know what you're going to do. Are any of you guys excited about this at all?
No. Donnie, I think Donnie's waiting for me to comment on this one because I didn't really say much about it in Discord at all. Here's the clues. Number one, the Super Mario Odyssey stuff. It's literally labeled as bite-sized, and it's not part of the game. It's like these little extra little mini levels they're giving you to play in VR.
I saw that.
So bundle that with the fact you have to hold your VR. I'm expecting these to be like 5-minute levels, and there's only 3 of them. But it's a free update. So if you're getting the Labo VR kit already, yes, these are cool. If you're looking for a reason to buy the Labo VR kit, this is not the reason. Between this and Zelda, it's only the camera. You cannot play Legend of Zelda in 3D. You're able to just kind of put it in camera mode, look around, and be able to see everything moving around you and experience the world that way too. So once again, not something. It'd be really cool to see once, but then after that, it's like, what do you do? And I'm a Labo guy. I've enjoyed the Labo stuff, but I find, and I've said this before, the act of actually building the Labo stuff to be more fun than playing the experiences they give. Like to actually see how these Labo devices work. And I mean, this is different because it's VR, but everything else that, the piano, the fishing rods, to see the mechanics and how they engineered this stuff is incredible. But then the experience they give you to use it with, you're like, I had more fun building it. So,
well, the funny thing about this though is that you're not really going to get that out of this either, because really it's just a hood for your Switch. So I mean, there's not much to it. And I will say, to Nintendo's credit, they do put that in the video.
Yes.
The problem is you look at all the headlines and they make it seem like Skyrim VR and Fallout 4 VR when they completely redid the games to make it a VR experience. Like you said, that's not what you're getting, and that is unfortunate. So now my expectations are tempered somewhat, and I'm just like, but it makes sense.
Did you still pre-order it though? You pre-ordered it, didn't you?
No.
Yes.
I haven't pre-ordered things since 2005.
I feel like you posted that in the chat that you pre-ordered this.
You wish. I don't pre-order nothing.
Okay. Here, we'll see.
Sorry. You know what? Use the Discord search function and prove me wrong.
I hope you didn't pre-order them, Lucas.
You hope I did?
I hope you didn't.
Oh, I did not. Don't worry.
I hope you didn't.
I didn't.
I hope you didn't.
Do you hope he didn't?
Anyways, the other thing. Speaking of something I'm not going to pre-order.
I hope you didn't.
I didn't do it. Okay. Nobody's going to pre-order the physical version of Wolfenstein Youngblood because you're just buying the digital version on the Switch. Yes.
Yeah.
You're buying the digital version long form. So basically you're not going to get an actual cartridge or card or whatever you call them in the box. It just comes with the digital code. Now, some people were surprised by this. I mean, I got the first Star Wars Battlefront game, the EA remake, and that was just, I think Fallout 4 was like that too, but in PC anyways, it's not uncommon to just get a download code with a box basically. So I don't know. What do you guys think? It feels kind of weird that a AAA game would just not have a cartridge included, doesn't it?
It's the Switch. Like, we kind of saw this coming. This isn't a slam on the Switch. We kind of saw this coming when we saw them doing Resident Evil 7 in Japan. They can't, like, are you going to send out a game with 2 cartridges, or charge $70 because you need to use a higher end card? This is going to happen if you want AAA games on the Switch. And honestly, it has me thinking now. They just showed Mortal Kombat 11 on the Switch at PAX East, and they said it runs at 60 frames and it looks great. Now I'm wondering, that must not be in a cartridge.
Yeah, I mean, I never really thought about that I forget that it's weird because cartridges, the SD cards, basically they're SD cards, are as big as hard drives now from 2005. Big old clunky hard drives you can get on a little SD card now, but still it's not enough with all of the like you said, a 256. Well, then again though, that does seem weird because it's not 256 gigs. There's no way.
No, but the catch is like this. So like if you were ever like me who owned a PSP or a PS Vita, you know that because they are using their like proprietary like way of formatting their discs, they charge
that's true.
10 times the cost of a regular memory unit. Like when I had the PSP, it was like micro SD cards, but they would only let you use the Sony versions, the memory stick.
Gotcha.
And they were like $30 more than a basic card. And then the PS Vita was the same. So I would imagine, because Nintendo is licensing the whatever they're branding their cards as, they wouldn't just label it as a micro SD or an SD card.
This seems kind of dangerous because if you see more of this happening, people aren't going into physical stores to get this. What happens when other AAA titles like, oh, they're too big and we don't want to pay the Nintendo tax to put it on a cartridge?
I was going to say, what if this isn't a too big thing? Is just simply the fact that they want to avoid the Nintendo tax?
Yeah, sidestep it completely.
So, I mean, you look at how many games they've already ported to Switch. They must be doing at least okay because they're the only company still doing it, like on the regular, not saying all these companies that are now porting over, a super old game like Saints Row 3rd, like being ported over. Like, no, these are games that are more recent. When they did Doom and Wolfenstein, yes, they were like a year behind, but that's a heck of a lot closer than what we're seeing.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just like, hey, let's not pay the extra or charge people. Let's not have to charge people the extra $10 to have it on Switch. Because this also isn't a full retail $60 game either. This is already not a budget title, but much like Far Cry New Dawn, it's not $60 for this experience. So maybe they're trying to do the same thing where it's like, well, this is going to be 30 or 40 on console and everybody else. We don't want to have an extra $10 for the Nintendo version because people just won't buy it then.
Plus, I think we're at the point where everyone's looking at digital versus physical sales. If you even take Nintendo out of the picture, Bethesda's like, how much do we think we're going to make on physical sales for Wolfenstein New Blood or whatever it's called? Young Blood.
New Blood, jeez.
That was the first one, sorry. On all the consoles, right? So like maybe they had thousands of copies of Wolfenstein 2 just sitting on Target's shelves.
Yeah.
And like look at how often Nintendo Switch games don't go on sale. So then they're like, will we even recoup our like losses? Because whether Nintendo lets them or if it's up to the publisher, I don't know. But like it would seem that Nintendo is a little bit more strict on when you can have your game drop in price.
Yeah.
So like maybe they're like, well, if we can't sell this game for 40, we have to wait 6 months before we can even drop it to 30.
Right.
So, who knows like all the logistics that go into it, but Kevin talked about it. Someone talked about it earlier with the Xbox Ultimate, and they're going digital, and we're just dealing with the mourning period for physical games. Like people are having a hard time getting over that.
Well, if you're a physical collector and you're complaining that you can't buy a physical copy of Wolfenstein Youngblood, I can promise you that this budget Wolfenstein title in 10 years is not going to, no one's going to be saying, man, I wish we could have got that on physical. And in 10 years time, if I was wrong and this thing is selling for $1,000 for a digital code, then you can call me up in 10 years and tell me I was wrong.
Do you hear that, Caroline? It's just challenging. But no, it's like the physical versus digital. So we got some time. We can talk about this a little bit too. So I'm a physical media guy. Like I like actually having the disc personally, and I've always felt that way, but I didn't really notice like with the Xbox, with the Game Share, with Game Pass, I think I own 4 actual discs for Xbox One. Yeah. And 2 of those, I think, one of those was Josh giving it to me when he sold me the Xbox. So it was like, okay. And one, I just bought Call of Duty Infinite Warfare for $5. That's why I have it. $5. And then I have like Disney's Magic Kingdom Adventures, whatever that was, the Disneyland Adventures. Like
that sounds like a made up game.
No, it's whatever. I'm
Disney Magic Kingdom's thing.
Yeah.
Lucas forgot his joke middle of sentence.
Yep. No, it just sounds like a made up game that somebody would make up as a
Disneyland Adventures.
It was on the Connect. That's why it sounds made up.
That's true.
Oh, yes. There you go. I knew there was some reason.
But everything else is digital, and other than like me constantly complaining how my hard drive doesn't have space because I have like 5 games or 10 games on there, and then all of a sudden 2 games want to do an update, and it's like 20 gig updates. But other than that, like I don't mind being digital. Like the only thing I find is the negative is I often forget what games I actually have, and I have to go back in my library. I'm like, oh, I didn't play this one yet. Let me go back and do this. Like much like PC gamers deal with on the regular. Like you look at your Steam library, and you're like, holy crap, there's like 30 games I haven't played yet that are just sitting there. Guess I'm going to keep playing my old game. Let's not download any of these new ones. So
let's just pretend those don't exist for a while.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a huge thing. But I think I'm just going to try and embrace it. Like, yeah, it stinks for selling games back or trading games back in if you want to do that or need to do that to get the new games when they come out. But I don't know, man. It seems to be going that way. So.
Yeah. Well, and from a business sense, it makes sense. So you can't fight with business.
Can you?
Yeah, you can.
You can
against business all day, every day.
Leading the charge.
That's true. All right, fellas, you think we should wrap this thing up?
Put a bow on it.
All right, let's do it. So before we sign off this evening, Josh, where can people find you and all the other delicious, delectable, as Lucas told me to use earlier, stuff that you do online?
You can find me on Instagram. Why do I start with Instagram? You can find me on Twitter at Josh Bones, or you can find me on Instagram at baloney_Borboni, my real last name. I post a lot for Bored with Video Games. That's also a podcast I co-host with Kyle, real last name Hyman. We are Bored with Video Games together. We had a great episode come out last week with Emerson Matsuuchi, who's designing the Metal Gear Solid board game. Good news, only 100 pages in the rule book, so it should be easy. This week we got just Kyle and I, and we should have a meta spring contest update.
Yeah,
and then we have 2 more guests, 2 more exciting guests coming up in the 2 weeks following. So
nice.
Stay tuned if you like board games and occasionally want to hear about video games.
Cool. Lucas, where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm always hanging out on Discords of various natures, some good, some not so good.
Some
shady.
Then
some real shady. And then of course I'm on the Flux to Pose podcast. We do silly things and we swear a lot, so just be forewarned. We're slowly getting more and more people to come over, so that's always a fun time. Other than that, I check Twitter every once in a while at heavymetal_riff. You can.
Was that a question or was that a statement?
It's a question of authenticity. I may or may not be wrong, so you can at me on there. Callow does a good job of adding me to most everything that he posts. so just follow him, and then you can find me through there. And
you have 15 notifications wake you up in the middle of the night. Callow tweeted something.
You're like, no, I forgot to turn my notifications off. Well, I guess might as well stay up and play video games.
We love you, Callow. Don't cancel your Patreon subscription. We appreciate you, buddy.
Yes.
Yeah, you can follow the show over at PSVG on Twitter. You can follow me if you're so inclined at PSVG Kevin. Head over to the website, psvg.blog, to find all the different shows we put out there, including the new Google Stadia show. And as Josh mentioned, the Bored with Video Games, who's been on a tear lately with some amazing episodes. So it's good to hear more from that. Lucas and I have a guest announcement to make as well.
Yes, that's true.
Yes, a game developer, Mr. David Fox, who's been around literally coding games since the 70s. Whoa. Worked on Maniac Mansion, Indiana Jones, most recently Thimbleweed Park. I mean, this guy's been stayed in the industry this entire time, so we're looking at booking him for end of April, early May. So Lucas, you gotta get cracking on that Thimbleweed Park.
I know.
And
no.
We're going to be sitting down and talking with him for about an hour or so about all the different things he's done throughout his career. So that'll be a good time. So stay tuned for more of that. As I said at the top of the show, head over to patreon.com/PSVG if you'd like to support us there as well, and also win some goodies like the PSVG polo that's coming, as well as our monthly other giveaways and our monthly DLC show as well. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you for telling a friend. But most importantly, we ask as always that you never stop gaming.
This has been a PSVG production. Any music, sound effects, or the like is owned by their respective copyright holders. No infringement is intended. The views expressed in this production are those of the individual contributor and may not necessarily reflect PSVG. This production may not be repurposed, reused, or redistributed without the express written consent of PSVG. PSVG is powered by patrons at patreon.com/PSVG. Become a patron to get special perks, including access to exclusive content.